Hello and welcome along to the first video in my natural rhythm series. This video is quite simply called Learn to Love Your Metronome. Now, the reason that you bought this course is because you wanted to improve your rhythm. And if there is one piece of solitary advice I can give you, it is to use a metronome when you practice. Now, I'm going to be showing you how to do that. I'm also going to be showing you the reason why you probably don't want to use one, why the reasons you do want to use them. And if you've ever used them in the past, I want you to try and put away that thinking of what it was like to use it and maybe you didn't enjoy it. And I want you just to wipe the slate clean and go for it and start using a metronome with your practice. And also, it doesn't have to be a metronome. If you've got any drum backing tracks or anything like that, then fantastic, you can be using those as well. But for the purposes of this, I'm just going to be using a metronome to teach you. Okay, first of all, where to get a metronome. So at the bottom of this video, I've included links to apps that I use. I'm going to be using an app called Tempo, which is available on Apple or iOS. Also, there is an Android link there to my favourite metronome that I've used, and also an online metronome that you can call up in a separate window and you can have that running while you're practicing. And obviously you can get the traditional actual physical metronomes that are a ticking box that some people like the sound of. Okay, so a metronome is important for a few reasons. First of all, if you, a metronome is like a road map for the rhythm, okay? So if you don't know how to play the rhythm you've been learning to a metronome, then essentially it's out of time, okay? So you don't quite know where the beats are falling with a metronome keeping time. So that's a really important thing. You'll understand that a metronome is made up of, in this case, what we're going to be doing a lot of is 4/4, so 4 beats to a bar, and you need to be keeping time to those beats, which I'm going to be showing you in just a second, okay? So if you don't know how to play the rhythms you've been learning to a metronome, chances are the rhythms haven't been right. Okay, so the reason why it's not a good idea to be using a metronome when you're a beginner, well, I think you should be straight away using a metronome when you start. And the reason why a lot of people don't like using them, well, there's a few reasons. You can feel under pressure because the metronome's saying, okay, we've got to strum here, we've got to do that beat. You can feel distracted. You've never heard a metronome ticking while you're playing at the same time, so it's a new thing. The other reasons is people just don't listen to the metronomes even if it's running at the same time. And it's really important to listen to the metronome. And then the final thing, which is a little weird to say this, but with the metronome running, it sometimes doesn't feel natural. It feels like there's this machine telling you to do these strums, and it just feels unusual to do that. So what a lot of this comes down to is it's new. It's new to you. And when you tried it, it felt weird because you had never started with a metronome. So wipe the slate clean, as I said earlier, and start playing with a metronome. Okay, so what you're going to be doing with using a metronome is working on something called your internal timing and your internal rhythm. So this means that the metronome is going to be helping you keep a natural, what we call beat, pulse, or tempo is another word for it. There's 3 words for it. And making sure, essentially, you're not speeding up or slowing down when you're playing songs. And that's the most common thing that beginners do. They'll play something faster because they think it's easier, but really, rhythmically, that is incorrect, and you should not be doing that. Now, when you go to perform a song, chances are you're not going to go and get your metronome and say, hang on guys, let me just get my metronome, right, I'm ready to perform. You're going to do it without a metronome. So a metronome is a means to an end. It's going to help you with your own internal rhythm and your own internal timing. But hopefully what I've sort of got across here is that the metronome, although it may have felt alien in the past, is exceedingly important with your rhythm skills. So please make sure that you've got a metronome for the remainder of this course, because every exercise that we do, a metronome will be playing in the background. How many times have I said metronome? Okay, so basically every time you play, every time you use the metronome, your practice will improve. And if you use it, your rhythm will get significantly better without considering using one to not using one. Okay, so use a metronome every time. So before we get started on any physical how-to exercises, make sure that you have downloaded a metronome to your smartphone or to your tablet, or you've got one running in your computer, or you've actually bought a physical metronome, be it digital or the blocks. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you my metronome right now. And this is the home screen, okay, for my metronome. And what you'll see is that there is 4 blue circles here. And you've got a nice big play symbol at the bottom. So this play symbol, when you touch it, will start the metronome running, okay? And then you can hear that there is a beat being played, and it's that beat that we're going to be keeping in time to, okay? Now, here you've got the speed, or also known as the BPM, the beats per minute. Now, the faster this goes, the higher the number, sorry, the faster the metronome is. Okay, so that's a little bit faster. You can use this wheel here if you have this particular one to speed things up and slow them down. Okay, next, what you need to know is about these windows here. So this window here is currently lit up at 4/4 time. Now 4/4 time means that there is 4 hits in each bar. This is a bar here, okay? So that means 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's why the metronome is making a different noise on that beat there. We're going to call that the 1 beat. The 1 beat, the 2 beat, the 3 beat, the 4 beat. Okay? Now, if you're finding that noise particularly annoying with this particular app, then you can go to sound sets here and settings. So it's down here at sound set, and you can then choose a different sound to your taste. But I quite prefer the analog sound set for this. One other thing that you need to know, we will be learning some exercises in different time signatures. So there's 3/4, which means that there is 3 beats per bar. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and we'll also be looking at 2/4 and 6/8, but that for another time. Please make sure your metronome is on this beat here. Okay, you'll be learning about what that means soon. We'll also be learning about all these others as we go through the course. Okay, so what we're going to do to start with is we're just going to learn to clap along with that metronome. So we're going to be going, we'll put it into 4/4, 2, 3, 4. So we're just going to be keeping time, clapping. Now really listen to the metronome. Now notice also, you don't need a guitar to do this. This is keeping your inner timing going, which is so important. You can also do it by counting 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can also strum the strings. And what I'd like you to get used to with whichever method you choose, be it counting, clapping, or strumming, is go 1, louder, 2, 3 on the 1 beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I hope that that makes it a little clearer about what a metronome is and why it is so important to have in your playing and your practice. It is a timekeeping device that will keep your timing and inner metronome rounded, and you'll have a better understanding of rhythm if you use one.